for me to say hello, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to this Virtuoso release webinar. What's new summer 2021? I hope you are all ready to be warmed by the dazzling glow of what we recently released. In just a second, I will be passing you over to the always beach body ready James Bent. But two things to say just before that. One, this webinar is being recorded and we will send it out to you. And secondly, there will be a question and answer session at the end. So if you could please have any burning questions, pop them in the Q&A section of Zoom. And I hope you are ready for the dulcet tones of James, because they are coming right your way right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ryan. And yeah, great to see so many of you on board to look at our new feature releases webinar. So we are going to be looking at what we've been releasing over or for the summer period, which if I move on. So the summer is here, so it is time to slap on the factor 50 and be dazzled by all that is new. And we've got quite a few great new features to cover. As you can see in the agenda here, we're going to be looking at new snapshot comparisons, our updated VCapture recording authoring tool, looking at how you can manage uploading your requirements to map against your journeys, intelligent highlighting of iframe elements and some new browser grid updates, looking at conditional test step executions and data blocks in test step editors, new reports for goal and journey summaries, having draft journeys, execution report improvements, and multiple organization support. So a whole host of fantastic new features. And so without further ado, let's jump in and take a look. So the first, snapshot comparison baselines. So previously, when taking snapshots, you could only compare to the previous snapshotted version. But what we've done now is we've updated so that you can create snapshot baselines, which effectively, when you have your application in the most perfect state, you can create a snapshot, baseline it, and then whenever you take a subsequent snapshot, you can compare back to that baseline. And to give an example of that, if we jump across. So effectively, when you do take your snapshots, now you can create a baseline, which again, when you have your site or application set up in the state that you really want it to be, you can simply select all of the checkpoints that have been snapshotted. And then by simply clicking on the uptick, you can set this as the baseline. And now when I go ahead and create any subsequent snapshots, it will compare back to that baseline feature. So this is really fantastic. So instead of running on every execution and just comparing to the previous snapshot, you can create those baselines, which is a fantastic new feature that a lot of our customers have been asking for. And of course, we've got a new view as well. When I drill in, we've just got a slightly updated UI to be able to do your comparisons, including looking at the before and after and setting the baseline, which can be done for individual checkpoints as well. So you don't have to do it for all. So that's our snapshot baselines, which we hope you will enjoy using. Fantastic new feature. And then moving along, so VCapture. So some of you may have been testing with our VCapture feature before. Some of you, this may be completely new. However, what this basically means is we have redeployed our VCapture extension, which can be downloaded from the Chrome Web Store. And this effectively enables you to supplement authoring steps in natural language programming by doing a click to record. And we can see an example of this in action. So if I've authored some steps or if I've set up a new goal and journey completely, once I've installed the extension from the Chrome Web Store, I can simply click on Start Capturing. It will load in the viewport the site based on the base URL. And then wherever I start clicking, you can see it will start authoring steps. So if we come through and click, And in true demo fashion, we might just have to restart that. But in the real world, this, of course, will work fantastically. But what you should hopefully see in a second when I do click, here we go. You can see on the side here, wherever I'm clicking, it is automatically recording. Again, in NLP, syntax and hints, wherever I am clicking through. So I don't even have to write the steps. I can just click, choose, it will author my steps, and then I can immediately execute on those. Or I could use this for some steps when I just want to quickly lay down the base of the journey, but then I can still supplement that with my NLP steps to write others if I wish. So it's really great way to make authoring even easier. And all you have to do to get up and running with the vCapture is visit the Chrome Web Store, install the vCapture extension, and you can immediately start authoring with a mix of NLP and vCapture in your steps. And again, another great feature that a lot of our customers have been asking about. Great, so that is vCapture. And remember that we have full documentation updated to support this. But moving along, we have now also deployed the ability to manage against requirements. Because as we all know that when authoring or when designing out your applications, you typically will have requirements that you need to be able to measure against. And therefore, when you're authoring tests, you want to make sure that you are covering those requirements. So right now, what we've done, we've added the ability to add or import requirements, map them to journeys. And if you're using, for example, Gherkin, you can even generate journeys automatically directly from requirements. And if we take a quick look at what that actually looks like in reality. So if you come into your project, you will see a requirements tab. And in here, you have the ability to, you could create a new requirement. So could say requirement 1, and this is a requirement. So I can set up my requirement. I can then link it to a goal and a journey. So I know that it's now covered by a particular goal and journey. But also, again, if I did have, let's say, if I bring across here an example of some Gherkin requirements, then I could import those directly. And I will do that right now. So let's bring those across, the Gherkin requirements, import those, which will then create my Gherkin requirements fully imported. And as mentioned, you can actually then generate journeys directly from those criteria. I simply select my goal, generate, and then it will tell me the journeys have been created. And you can see now that actually the journey has updated with the checkpoints and all of the requirements ready for me to start authoring against. So I know that I am directly covering in my tests against the requirements. So a fantastic new feature to ensure that when you're testing, you are covering on requirements and you know that you are meeting the needs based on the design. And of course, doing this shifting left and testing sooner. So requirement management, again, another great feature which we're really pleased to be able to release to you. Okay, so next, intelligent highlighting of iframe elements. So for any of you that have used iframes, you'll know that sometimes the highlights in the screenshots weren't always directly over the elements that were being selected. And this is really down to the way that iframes are designed. It's very difficult for them to report where the elements sit in relation to the main page. However, now Virtuoso intelligently autocorrects. So before, if you saw the highlight was not placed over the elements, Virtuoso now intelligently will update to highlight even in iframes where the elements are. So again, a nice refinement that makes it just even easier to ensure that your tests are authored, but also if you have any issues, you know exactly what is being related to in terms of iframe elements. So again, a really nice feature. And again, this is another one that was a top request from a lot of our customers. Okay. Browser grid updates. So just to ensure that we remain as relevant as possible, as we always do, we've made sure that we've updated our cross-browser grid with all of the latest browsers, including Chrome and Edge to version 91 and Firefox to version 89, So now whenever you set up to do your cross-browser compatibility testing in your device hives or individual tests, you can be sure that you can be testing against the latest versions of browsers. And not just browsers, but also latest mobile devices such as iPads and, for instance, the Samsung Galaxy S21 series, including the Ultra. So just to ensure that you can ensure your quality when testing against all browsers and devices. So again, another great addition that is entirely needed. Okay, so then we come on to conditional test step executions. So again, for those of you who are using variables or who are data driving your tests, which simply means you can use variable data or data tables to scale the way that you run your testing, you can previously, it would fail tests if values contained 0 or false. For example, when testing, you came to a field that should have had a value, but actually didn't have anything to select. So these would previously have failed. Now we give you the option to skip the step if the variable is empty or if the test data is empty, which means that your test will continue even if an option isn't available or a variable isn't set. So it just ensures that your executions continue even when using different scenarios, which could have variable data, some of which may be 0 or false or empty. So just ensuring that you can scale again your executions further when using variable or test data. And again, remember, we have full documentation which has been updated, or of course you can contact us if you have any further questions on any of these items. Okay, so what other improvements have we made? So data blocks in the test step editor. So previously, again, if you were using test data or variables, you will know that you had to go to several different sections within the test step editor to set up whether you were using a value, a variable, test data, or JS expressions. Now we've introduced a new data section within the test editor, which we can take a look at a live example of. So you can see in your step editor, we've introduced this data section, which makes it really easy to specify, would you use an implicit value? Do you want to use a variable, test data, or an expression? So it's all contained in one place to make it really easy to specify the data that should be used. So again, a really great enhancement that just makes it even easier to author and then specify data to be used within tests and manage that. Great. So another fantastic feature we hope you love. And moving on, again, another really key one that we've been asked a lot about, it's around reporting. And in this case, it's improvements to the goal and journey summary. So previously, we saw that goal and journey reports, they only provided limited insights into some of the key metrics and test performance. But as you can see here, we've introduced a brand new experience to the goal and journey view to ensure that at a glance, you can review all of your goals and journeys performance, including passes and fails, performance on network requests and browser logs, metrics and goal plans. So you get really great visibility. And again, we can just have a jump in to have a live example of that. So you can see we've updated the summaries here to be able to really show everything you need to know. And you can see an extended version here. So we'd love you to, as you go through, you may already have noticed as this has been deployed, we've made these enhancements. And again, we really hope that you will benefit from utilizing these new summary reports. Okay, and another really big one. So in the theme of thinking, when you're authoring your reports, previously, every journey, every goal, journey, and checkpoint was effectively a live journey that was being reported upon even when you were authoring. And so what we've done now is we've enabled such that whenever a goal, a journey, and checkpoint is created, it's created in a draft status. And you can see that here, there'll be an indicator that it's in draft. And this just makes it really easy to ensure that when you're authoring and refining your tests and executing them to make sure that everything's working correctly, it is not being included in all of the performance metrics and reports. It's simply a draft journey. And only when you have got it to exactly the state that you want it to be with all the refinements, can you click on the publish button to ensure that only at that stage it becomes a live test that can be executed and reported upon. And even if you should happen to click on the publish and realize you need to make some more changes, you can very quickly unpublish and set that back to draft. So just a really nice refinement to ensure that we differentiate, or allow you to, between when you're drafting or making adjustments to your tests and when they are actually published and ready to be included in your executions. So again, another really neat refinement, we think, just to further enhance utilization of Virtuoso. Okay, and then another one, which actually we have been asked about by quite a number of our customers, particularly where you have different organizations set up. So previously, if you were a member of multiple organizations, you will know that you had to have different user accounts and you had to log out and log back in to access those organizations. Well, the great thing is now you no longer need to do that. So users can now belong to multiple organizations with the same login, which is, again, seems straightforward and fantastic, and we believe so too. So we put it in place. It's now really easy to ensure that you can simply switch organization from the organization dashboard. The only prerequisite here is you need to be a member of each organization. As soon as you are, you will see an organization drop down where you can select whichever organization you would like to toggle to. No more logging out and back in again. And if you want to control this, of course, you just need to remove somebody from being a member of an organization and they won't have access to that. So you've still got full admin control over who can access. So again, this was another top request, particularly with those organizations who did have multiple organizations set up, to be able to make it really easy to access those without having to log out and back in again. And last but not least, execution report improvements. So again, similar to the way that we've improved our goal and journey summaries, we've now made further enhancements within the project activity to the execution reports, so that you have, for instance, all of the details, including the environment that's being run on, if you're using a bridge, if you've specified a maximum parallelism, and also who's launched or cancelled in terms of the user who has gone ahead and managed the execution. You also have the ability to add and manage tags against the executions. So it's just some really, again, some nice refinements that gives you further information in your executions and your project activity to get a really easy summary, so you understand without having to click through into separate places as to the setup, configuration, the usage, and then tags as well about who has managed this and the specifications for your executions. So again, nice improvements to reports, which then brings us to the end of our summary of all of the great new features. And remember, for any of these items, of course, we do have our user guides, and you can contact us at any time, of course, to discuss how you can use these and benefit, and more details around these. So I really hope you've enjoyed being provided a summary of those.
Thank you, James. What an excellent demonstration that was. We here at Virtuoso do believe in continuous delivery. So it is very nice when you can get everything together at the end of a fair few releases that have come out and see just, what progress has been made on a continuous basis. There are a few questions in. I would like to echo that, the customer success team will be available to answer any of your questions, and are all fully trained on all these fantastic features. How they've found the time, I do not know. And I've got a couple, well, more than a couple, but there's still time. If you want to ask any questions on the Q&A, please do so. First off, James, I already have the old vCapture extension installed. Will I need to reinstall it?
Yes, you will. That was a beta or development extension, but it's really easy for you just to visit the Chrome Web Store, install the new application, and that will start working immediately. So that's a really short process just to ensure you got the latest and greatest. But yes, you will need to reinstall. And again, really quick and easy to do.
Loving the new features. I want to get my hands on them. Do I need to do anything to access these features?
Being a SaaS platform where, again, we are firm believers in continuous improvement and development, the answer is no. We deploy these automatically, so you will already have access to these improvements. And in fact, some of you may have already seen some of these great new features. So no, you don't need to do anything. We'll take care of all of that for you to give you access to these great features.
Okay, this is quite a good one, actually. Will Snapshot Baselines work with existing projects or journeys?
Absolutely. So you don't, this isn't only for those which you capture from now on, for your existing projects and your journeys where you're taking snapshots. The only step you need to do is decide which version is going to be your baseline. You can go ahead and pick the version, set that as your baseline, and immediately you'll be able to start measuring against the baseline snapshots. So the answer is no. It's not only for new projects and journeys, it works with your existing as well.
Fantastic. And then I think you did cover this, but let's mention it again. Do you support the latest version of Edge?
We do indeed, and we are supporting up to version 91, the latest version. So the answer is yes, we absolutely is, and that's not just for Edge. We also, for all of the latest browsers, we are covering the latest versions. And again, we've got that specified in all of our support docs. You can see all the versions of browsers that we're covering. But yes, we do support the latest version of Edge.
Just, if you want to get that's the end of what we've got. So if you want to get a question in, and there's quite a few of you out there, then you need to do it fast. Give you a couple of moments. I think that everything has been covered superbly, and therefore just that handful of good questions, though. So I would like to thank you, James, once again. Absolutely fantastic show, as always, for everybody coming. And to reiterate the three things that I get asked the most. Yes, this will be recorded and is being recorded and will be sent out. Two, the customer success team are always open for your questions. And thirdly, I'd like to say goodbye, good night, and thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Thank you.